Normally when they blow a head gasket, you get a whole bunch of coolant down in the catalytic converters. That's what we have going on here. And all that smoke was this. I've cleaned up some of it. A mouse had built a nest in the muffler. What's up guys, welcome back to the shop. Figured I would show you what I'm working on today. This is front engine shop or German shop or bad idea shop. I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
But this is a 3 Series, 2003, 4, I don't know. E46, somebody I know's car. I work on these for a living, and then my friends buy these and then want me to fix them for them. And
how neat is that?
that's what we're doing here. This one was overheated, which these don't like to be overheated at all. So we are installing a used engine in it. Obviously, I have the engine out. The new used engine is right here. The engine out of the car is right there. So today I am swapping everything from that engine there, wiring harness, exhaust manifold, catalytic converter, AC compressor, all that jazz, from that engine onto this engine. We've got a valve cover gasket, we have a new oil pan gasket. Gonna reseal this whole thing before put it back in the car. Still waiting on some parts like a water pump, thermostat, a couple other little odds and ends before I can finish it. But today I can at least get all the electronics and everything switched over and get this into the car. In that box over there are pads and rotors for this thing. Oh, waiting on a radiator too. This thing was so overheated that it swelled the radiator. Plus it was leaking a little bit there. I mean, it's not a bad little car. It's been sitting outside for 2-3 years. So some rodents made a home in the front end. It needs a bumper. I got a bunch of chewed wiring I've got to repair once I get the engine in.
That's pretty neat.
So the brakes are trashed, so we got new pads and rotors all around for it. And I also have to do these CV boots. They're all torn up on the front axles. But today's project is just swapping stuff over. So I figured I would do a time lapse, and you can watch me swap stuff from one engine to the other and maybe put it back in the car. You know, once I get the engine back in the car, then we put it up in the air and we put transmission and transfer case and all that back on it. At work we have a big table where I can just drop everything out as a unit. I don't have that here at home yet. Probably should to make the Fiero stuff a lot nicer too. So I chose to drop the trans and everything out the bottom and then engine out the top. Wasn't too bad. Really doesn't add much time to it. I'm gonna get going on this. Let's get to it. Alright guys, got the new one ready to go in. Everything swapped over. I ended up just replacing the oil pan gasket. The oil pan was the same. The other pan had a whole bunch of sludge in it from the blown head gasket. Cracked head, whatever's going on. This engine came out of an X3. I thought it might be different, but it's not. So now I just got to stuff it in the car. And by the way, tech tip, if you buy a used engine from a junkyard on eBay, make sure they drain the oil before they shipped it to you. Because otherwise you go to take the oil pan off, not thinking about, hey, let's try to drain the oil, and then you murder your floor.
Idiot.
Oh, I'm gonna need some kitty litter.
Have you ever been rushing trying to get your project finished so you can get out to do what you want to do, and you trip over your favorite motorcycle helmet and you spill oil all over the place? Well, dang, that's going to take forever to clean up. Not today, not with Super Clean, Super Floor Absorbent. You just pour this baby on that spill, it soaks it right up, you can clean it up fast, and you can get on to what you really want to be doing. Riding your motorcycle. Find Super Clean at your closest automotive retailer. Did I forget to mention, this stuff is virtually dust-free.
Good news is that's only about 5 quarts oil instead of the 7 the car holds, so yay. It's a mess. This is the old engine. There's a couple pieces I need to get off yet, like the tensioner and the water pump pulley, and maybe a couple other things that I haven't found yet. This one is ready to go in. The water pump and stuff's not here for this yet, but that's pretty easy to do in the car. Now I just gotta get it stuffed in the engine bay and start hooking everything back up. Right now it's 9:40 at night on a Monday, but I am tempted just to get this thing stuck in there, but I'm also tired. Well, let's see. If I can do it in about 10 minutes, then let's get it done. Alright guys, it's in. It's 9:55, so it took me like 15 minutes to basically set it in here. Now it's just a matter of going through and hooking everything back up, which shouldn't be too bad. And once I get everything hooked up here on the top, I can stuff the trans back in it, and the transfer case back in it, and exhaust, and then we're on to brakes and fixing CV boots. That's that part of it. I guess I'll end this off here. I don't know when I'm going to get back out here. What's up guys? We're back out here working on the BMW. We've got to get the rest of the stuff installed on the engine here. We have received some parts. We have a new thermostat, new water pump, new CV boots for the front axles. We have to get the e-box back together and this part of the harness back in. That's the connector for the transmission, the oxygen sensors, so not a big deal. New radiator is here, but we have a ton of stuff in here that needs to get hooked up first. I gotta put the bolts in the engine mounts, hook up a lot of the stuff at the top, and then we will go put the car up in the air from the bottom, kind of tip it more back so I can get the transmission and transfer case installed. Then once that is done, then I can put the radiator in and do the water pump thermostat, because as you see right now it's leaned way forward because it has no transmission transfer case or any of that stuff on it, so it'd be hard to get the radiator in here. And then I can do the brakes and the CV boots and get the axles back in it. We have some new wheels for it, well, used wheels. These are off of E90 335i. It's like a 2008 2009 335i. There are tires on the way for those, so we can do the brakes, get the wheels on it, and then this thing will be running and driving. But before we do any of that, we got to fix my oil spill.
Well, dang, that's going to take forever to clean up.
So we got some nice non-clumping kitty litter for that. Alright, so there you have it. Spread it around and then kind of let it sit there for a little bit to soak it all up. And then a couple days, move it around again. I got some more spots I have to clean up. After all this is a shop, it's going to happen. Now we just have to get on fixing the car. I think first is going to be engine mount bolts. I have got to get the power steering pump, which is down there, bolted back on. I have to get the transmission oil cooler lines back routed how they go and bolted on. And then I can get the e-box back together, get the computers back in their box, get everything hooked up electronically, and then I think we'll stuff the trans and transfer case back in this thing. Let's get to it. All right, guys, trans is back in. Trans cooler lines are hooked up. I gotta get the shift cable hooked up. It's plugged in. You can see the connector right there. I gotta get the starter, which is way up in the corner up there. I gotta get that installed, and then I can get the transfer case in it, drive shafts, and then we'll be pretty well buttoned up underneath. I got a lot of stuff connected at the top. The e-box is all back together. The wiring harnesses are all back where they go. Power steering pump is back on. Got an intake boot on. I'm basically ready now, once I get the transfer case and starter in and drive shafts in, to put it down. And then we can get the water pump, the thermostat, and everything else buttoned up top. We got to do the CV boots on the front drive shafts, and then put fluids and everything, and we will see if it starts. It's about 15 degrees in here. I can't feel my hands, so I'm done for the day. Today we are working on the BMW. We're gonna get the rest of this thing buttoned up today. I worked on it off camera the other day, got everything back hooked up underneath, and I actually had it running for a minute, and I'll insert the clip of the first start right now. It wants to. There you go. So we're still a little smoky because there's a bunch of coolant in the exhaust. Normally when they blow a head gasket, you get a whole bunch of coolant down in the catalytic converters. That's what we have going on here, because we did not put new converters on it. We just swapped them over. So today we need to get on the cooling system. We gotta get the radiator, which is in that box, water pump, thermostat need to get installed on the front of this thing here. Gotta get the cover on the electronics box, and the secondary air pump needs to get put back in, and the belt obviously put on it. Once we do that, we can start it, let it run. We can put the microfilter housing back in it. Gotta get the air filter box in it. And then it's on to front axles, tires to mount on the new wheels, and we gotta do the brakes. And then we're pretty much done. The owner did get a new bumper, because that's missing, and the new fender, because this fender's really marred up. So we're gonna put those on it too, just not today, because they're not here. But we should be able to drive this today. Oh yeah, we got a bunch of wiring to fix today as well. It's also got a chewed wire over here. Oh, this one right here. This is for the wheel speed sensor. So I need to see if I can fix that, or if we're gonna have to order a new wheel speed sensor. We'll get the cooling system all together and the belt on it. Once we get it running, I'll show you how it runs. Well, the engine bay is back together. Everything's back bolted to the engine. You just have to go get coolant. I don't have coolant. Let's go to the parts store and get some coolant. Got coolant. Let's get her filled up. See how much I can spill. Well, it's not raining under the car yet, so that must mean everything got hooked up right. Didn't forget anything, which is always good. Look good underneath. Thought I heard something leaking, but I think it's just snow melting off the roof of the barn since it's sunny outside. Still not warm, but at least it's sunny. Yeah, it's full. Close the bleeder. Now let's start it up and see what happens. Now that it's got coolant, we can let it run a little bit. Runs pretty good. Check engine lights on because of the ambient air temperature sensor and the fact that I started it up the other day without the air pump, secondary air pump and all that in it. So the ABS, brake, and traction lights are from the chewed wheel speed sensor in the right front. That should all clear after all the wiring is fixed, hopefully. Probably should relearn all of the adaptations and everything in the computer too, since this is a different engine. But we can do all that here in a little bit. I want to let it warm up and make sure we have good heat, make sure the coolant's full, make sure we're not smoking, which we're not. So kind of want to let it idle for a little bit. Temp gauge has moved a little bit. Come on, buddy, you can idle. There we go. Okay, it still smokes a little bit. Now that the converters are hot, it's burning some of that stuff out. Also, looks like it's shooting pieces of nut or something out of the exhaust, so I almost wonder if a rodent built a nest in the exhaust, and that's also what's burning out. See, it's got some stuff. It kind of smells. It smells a little bit coolantish and a little bit just brush fire. see it's getting a little smoky in here. That literally smells like burning leaves. So I'm pretty sure there's a nest in the exhaust, and that's burning off. But it runs good. It's not building ridiculous amounts of pressure in the cooling system. It's coming up to temp good. So I'm gonna let it run a little bit. Probably go open the door since now it smells like a brush fire in here. And then we'll get on fixing the wiring and the axles and the brakes and the tires. All right, here we are. We're on to wiring repair. I gotta make all these wires match all those wires. And this here is for the ambient air temp sensor, which I gotta get a pigtail, pins, connector, and the sensor for that, and that goes down here in this spot. On this side, I've already repaired a bunch of the wiring. You can see there's the heat shrink tubing where I've fixed it all. I just gotta come back through and wrap this. I have fixed the wheel speed sensor. We'll see if that works. I got the splash shield back in, put the brake duct back together because it had fallen apart. All right, here you go. Wiring's all repaired and wrapped. Just got to get the ambient temp sensor and pigtail, and then all that's left are front axles, brakes, wheels and tires, front bumper, fender. So let's keep going. So worked on this thing a little more the other day. So I got the new wheels and tires on it, brakes are on it, front axles are in it, and all that smoke was this. I've cleaned up some of it. A mouse had built a nest in the muffler, and it was all that stuff burning off. So yeah, it was pretty nasty. But I want to drive it a little bit because the gas that's in it's 2 years old. It's got a quarter tank. So I want to burn that out, put some fresh gas in it. I think I'm going to put some stable in the tank. But otherwise, it runs and drives pretty good. What's up, guys? We're back. It's been a few days. I got the car done. Bumpers on it, fender, turn signal, all that stuff's on it. It's ready to go back to its owner. I drove it to work a few times this week. Got the check engine light taken care of. It actually ended up having a crankcase vent valve out of it, causing a major vacuum leak. It started burning oil, so I threw one of those on it, and the valve cover was cracked, so I stole the one off the old motor and put that on there. Now she starts and runs beautiful. It's been sitting here all day, so it's kind of cold, but we can fire it up. Starts right up, runs great, no warning lights. So yeah, turned out great actually. It's a nice little car now, just needs to get some paint. Runs great, I'm happy with it. Should make a good car. The owner's coming to pick it up here this afternoon, and then I'll be on to my next project. Yeah, if anybody needs a BMW engine with a blown head gasket, you know where to find one. But yeah, really happy with how it turned out. Saved this thing from the junkyard, got it back on the road. But that's that for that project. And that'll wrap up this series of fixing up a BMW. Thanks for watching if you've watched this whole video, and thanks for subscribing if you've subscribed. If you haven't, what's wrong with you? Anyway, I will see you guys on the next one.